The New York Times is sounding the alarm on Donald Trump's latest sinister power grab, calling it a breathtaking and dangerous precedent, an aggressive use of federal power to squeeze and control officials, and proof of his open disdain for law and morality. And I have all the disturbing details on this breaking story for you next. The Times article that caught my eye was from the editorial board, and it read, "Don't surrender to the coercion presidency." And it went on to say, President Trump's determination to bend the American justice system to his will, combined with his broad tolerance for political corruption and his abhorrence of checks and balances on his power, slammed hard last week into the commitment to duty, honor, and the rule of law shared by a group of federal prosecutors in the Southern District of New York and Washington, D.C. I will have the most damaging blows from that Don't Surrender article for you in just a minute. But first, I think some context is in order for this nuanced story. This MSNBC report perfectly sets the table for what has been unfolding, and it reveals the blatant disregard for the rule of law by Team Trump. Have a listen.
Breaking news about an extraordinary behind-the-scenes standoff with consequences for the future of the rule of law in this country literally on the line. It's happening right now in the wake of an extraordinary demand by the Trump administration to drop criminal charges against New York's current mayor, Eric Adams, in exchange for his cooperation with mass deportations. The acting U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York has resigned this afternoon. It comes 3 days after that directive had come down from acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bobe. She had supported the case that had been charged and brought against Eric Adams, which at this hour remains in place. In a, I hate to use the word again, but extraordinary memo from Deputy AG Emil Bobe that's been obtained by NBC News, responding to the Southern District of New York's refusal to drop this case against Adams. Bobe writes to Danielle Sassoon, quote, "You indicated that the prosecution team is aware of your communications with the Justice Department, that it is supportive of your approach and is unwilling to comply with the order to dismiss this case. Accordingly, the assistant U.S. attorneys principally responsible for this case are being placed on off-duty administrative leave pending investigations by the Office of the Attorney General and the Office of Professional Responsibility, both of which will also evaluate your conduct." All this happened today, and it happened after Attorney General Pam Bondi was asked why the case remained in place even after her deputy, Bobe, demanded it be dismissed. Here's what she said.
That case should be dropped. It was done at the directive of Emil, so that case should be dropped. I did not know that it had not been dropped yet, but I will certainly look into that.
I did not know there were people still standing up for the rule of law in America, said Pam Bondi yesterday.
And now for the alarm sounded by the New York Times Editorial Board, which is, quote, "a group of opinion journalists whose views are informed by expertise, research, debate, and certain long-standing values," unquote. Here's what I've curated for you.
President Trump's determination to bend the American justice system to his will, combined with his broad tolerance for political corruption and his abhorrence of checks and balances on his power, is a direct assault on the foundations of democracy and the rule of law. The confrontation between Mr. Trump's lieutenants at the Justice Department and Manhattan's interim U.S. Attorney, Danielle Sassoon, is the clearest example yet of this administration's efforts to institutionalize quid pro quo deal-making, coercive tactics, and loyalty tests, undermining the principle of equal justice before the law. What is so alarming about the Trump Justice Department's actions is that the nation's top law enforcement officials are not only ignoring allegations of illegal conduct, but actively working to corrupt the prosecutors and civil servants who stand in their way. It is a breathtaking and dangerous precedent to reward Mr. Adams's opportunistic and shifting commitments on immigration and other policy matters with the dismissal of a criminal indictment, setting a new low for political deal-making. No system of ordered liberty can allow the government to use the carrot of dismissing charges or the stick of threatening to bring them again, to coerce elected officials into supporting its policy objectives. Mr. Trump's aggressive use of federal power to squeeze and control officials extends far beyond Washington, reaching into private business, higher education, and local government, eroding the autonomy of these institutions. In the case of Mr. Adams, the President and the Justice Department are sending a clear message. Impartiality, legal precedent, and the fundamental norms of the justice system are expendable when they stand in the way of political gain. Appealing to the better instincts of this new Trump administration, with its open disdain for law and morality, has so far proven to be a futile effort, as it continues to erode democratic norms without hesitation. In his first term, Mr. Trump was often restrained from his most dangerous impulses by those who understood the gravity of their roles. Now he has intentionally surrounded himself with enablers, ensuring that no one will stand in his way as he reshapes the justice system to serve his own interests.
The recent actions by the lawless Trump and his Justice Department represent a profound threat to the integrity of our democratic institutions. By coercing the dismissal of corruption charges against New York City Mayor Eric Adams in exchange for political compliance, Trump is blatantly undermining the principles of impartial justice. This political misuse of the Department of Justice not only erodes public trust, but it also sets the precedent that legal outcomes are going to be determined by loyalty and not law. The resignations of prosecutors like Sassoon in protest underscore the gravity of this crisis and expose the internal resistance against Trump's attempts to subvert legal and democratic norms. I'm Dan, thank you for watching, and let's do whatever we can to uphold norms with resistance of our own, and let's continue to occupy democracy together.